So let's look at verse 28. Verse 28 begins with, him we preach. Y'all, that's the first principle. Sharing him is the first. It's the tip top of disciple making. It's the top of disciple making to share Christ. First and foremost, the message of Jesus is a part of discipleship. The word preach is not proclaiming in front of a congregation like we pastors do from Sunday to Sunday. It's simply to talk about, to speak, or to present the message of Christ wherever we go. Only Jesus can save, isn't that right? Only Jesus can set captives bound by hurtful habits free. Only Jesus can make those wounded by life's lies whole. The Colossian church was beset by heresies. On the one hand, there was Jewish legalism that said you've got to keep the law to be saved. On the other hand, there was pagan mysticism that said Jesus is just one of many beings who spontaneously flowed out from an infinite, undiminished primary substance. Primary substance? Listen, one of those denied Jesus' humanity. The other denied his deity. In this section of his letter, Paul is speaking about his ministry to the Colossians, and he's seeming to refer back to the previous paragraphs in chapter 1, 15 through 23, where in response to heresy, he stressed the supremacy of Christ. My brothers and sisters, we proclaim Christ. See, Jesus Christ, it says in verse 15, is the perfect image, the exact representation of God the Father. Jesus Christ is the preeminent and sovereign over creation. He's the mighty creator whom John said all things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. Yeah. And then Paul picked it up here in verse 15 and said, all things were created through him and for him. Yeah. My brothers and sisters, that's the Jesus we speak of. And it's ours to speak of him. It's ours to publicly announce to those who will hear that Jesus, who came to give his life a ransom for every sinner, that Jesus loves them. Brothers and sisters, nobody should be able to talk about Jesus like we can talk about him. And so we need to share that Jesus is a bridge across life's troubled waters. That Jesus is peace for every hurting heart. And he's direction for all that are unsure about which way to go. This Jesus is light for navigating through a dark and hostile world. And so what's tragic is that for many, encouragement to be good and kind actually replaces the teaching about Christ. My brothers and sisters, the very truth is that to the degree that Jesus the Messiah is not the focus of the message, is the degree to which the message is not actually a Christian message. Making disciples begins with sharing Jesus. All right. Now, as we share him, there's a tendency that we need to watch out for. I told you there's a positive side, there's a negative side. The negative tendency is sometimes we can inadvertently actually be proclaiming self. Sometimes without intending to. We can speak in ways that draw new converts more to us, make them feel as though we are the ones they need to depend on, rather than depending on Jesus. Yeah. Listen, we must point people to Christ. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We are always to make much of him. And we must avoid the tendency also to hurry up and get discipling over with, get it done so we can do some other stuff. My brothers and sisters, the word for preach suggests a long-term effort. It suggests an ongoing effort. It puts puts us in mind of Paul's work planting churches, then going back on again and again on his missionary journeys, teaching, being with them, and making sure they were on track. So, tip top of discipleship is preaching him.